Hi, my name is Ben Pitler. This is my reflection video for emulating a pro photographer. Please enjoy. I thought I would start by showing the image that really inspired me for this project. Once I decided on Mark Katzman's photography, I then had to try to come up with something that I thought would work. My initial previs sketches were just sort of a concept, showing someone's hands making a picture frame. I did not really know what angle I would take the picture from, or exactly what lighting would be in the picture. As the planning progressed, I adjusted my previs sketch and shot diary. I decided that a somewhat tight shot would work well and was in keeping with Katzman's lifestyle photograph that I selected. I had access to a tripod that I was encouraged to use. I had already selected some old tools that would work well in the photo. The next step was to gather more of the needed props, so I drove out to a local wood and lumber place. As I walked in, I saw some old barn wood and began talking with the owner about my project. I was able to obtain a few pieces of the old barn wood along with a box of sawdust. I drove back home and began to set up. When I got back home, I set up the shot in my basement. I played with different lights. One I had was from Sharper Image, and when I pointed it at the ceiling, it gave off a good amount of reflected light. I did make an adjustment to the back of the scene by placing a black blanket onto an old door, and also having my brother wear a black shirt. As I noted, most of Katzman's photos really had more of a subdued coloring. So, here are some raw images I took. I played with throwing some of the sawdust around a bit. In the initial shots, I realized that my brother's hands looked a little pale, so I grabbed some soot from my fireplace in my home and sprinkled it on his hands. I then took several shots. I moved around a bit with the camera and played a bit with the manual settings on the camera. After having downloaded all the images, I began to try and select the images I felt worked best for this emulation project. This turned out to be a bit more difficult than I expected, mostly because some of the shots that I really liked just didn't seem to be a good match for the project. So in the end, I decided to go with this image, but knew I had to adjust the exposure and saturation, so I brought it into Photoshop where I made the necessary editing adjustments. Here is the final edited image, which I think worked out pretty well. Here is Katzman's photo along with my image side by side. So that is my emulation of a pro photographer project. In the end, I had a lot of fun working on this project and really feel I learned a lot about the whole process of planning, setting up a set, getting a model, shooting the image, and selecting as well as editing the final photo. It was fun and challenging. Hope you enjoyed this little presentation. Thank you and goodbye.